news regarding Ilia Topuria, because I do think that as of this morning, it's probably the biggest news of the day.
After weeks of speculation about whether the UFC CEO, Dana White, was frustrated with Ilia Topuria's indefinite hiatus, word is that he has finally made his position clear, and his stand is about to change the entire... Let's break it all down. Dana White breaks his silence. The question everyone has been asking since Ilia Topuria announced his hiatus is simple. How does Dana White feel about his lightweight champion walking away from the octagon? The answer came in mid-December 2025 when White addressed the situation publicly for the first time. White did not hold back when discussing what Topuria has been going through. In his interviews, the UFC CEO described the situation as extremely sad and emphasized that the UFC has been supportive from day one.
And so you can understand even more so why he would want to step away and not focus on fighting or defending his title, because obviously there's a lot going on. It's extremely sad. It's I feel for everyone involved. I feel for his family. I feel for his kids. It's an awful situation.
This statement from White contradicts the speculation that had been building online. Many fans and analysts wondered whether White was annoyed with Topuria for continuing to appear in interviews and training sessions while claiming he couldn't fight. Some even suggested White had lost respect for Topuria or was planning to strip him of his title. But the reality is different. White has consistently maintained a supportive stance. He specifically noted that the UFC offered help without demanding detailed explanations from Topuria about his personal situation. The timeline of events shows how this situation developed. On November 27, 2025, Topuria posted on social media that he was dealing with personal problems and would not fight in the first quarter of 2026. This prompted the UFC to announce an interim title fight between Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett for UFC 324 on January 24, 2026.
Obviously, you just saw Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett for the interim title. Earlier, Topuria posted, I'm dealing with some personal problems, so I'm not gonna fight the first quarter. So the winner of Gaethje versus Paddy will be the interim title, and then they will face Topuria.
White's statement here is direct. The winner of the interim title fight will face Topuria. There was no mention of Strip's absence. Then came December 15th, 2025. Topuria released his full statement on Instagram, revealing the details behind his hiatus. He claimed to be the victim of an extortion attempt involving false allegations of domestic abuse. White's response to this revelation was sympathetic. In his interviews, he noted that he had not heard any of the allegations or rumors prior to Topuria's statement. According to reports from ESPN Deportes, Topuria himself confirmed that the UFC has been supportive throughout this ordeal.
People involved. The truth is, Ilia says they have been excellent. We have a special connection. I have understanding without having to give a lot of explanation, understanding from them. From the very first moment, they have extended their hand. I have been offered their support in any time I needed it. So I don't really know. I'm very happy for the support I've received from them, for the understanding, and also happy about the steps that they have to take.
White also commented on the dynamics of such personal disputes, directing criticism at parties who engage in what he called reputation destruction. According to interview summaries, White stated that ex-partners who threaten to destroy reputations are monsters, and that this kind of behavior is common when relationships end between successful individuals and their partner, himself. The message from Dana White is clear. The UFC stands behind their lightweight champion. There are no plans to strip Topuria of his title, and the organization will wait for him to resolve his personal matters before scheduling his next fight. What Topuria is actually dealing with. The circumstances surrounding Ilia Topuria's hiatus are far more complex and serious than initial speculation suggested. When the 28-year-old Spanish-Georgian fighter announced he was stepping away from competition, the internet immediately began theorizing about what could possibly keep an undefeated champion out of the octagon. Some guessed injury, others speculated about burnout or contract disputes. The truth, as Topuria revealed on December 15, 2025, involves allegations of attempted extortion, fabricated evidence, and threats that strike at the core of his personal life and reputation. The timing of these revelations provides crucial context. Divorce rumors began surfacing around early October 2025, when fans noticed that Topuria and his estranged wife, Georgina Uzcategui Bedell, had deleted photos of each other from their respective Instagram accounts. By mid-October, social media was already abuzz with speculation about the state of their marriage. According to Spanish media reports, Bedell allegedly claimed to possess evidence that could place Topuria in a very difficult position, and reportedly demanded a significant sum of money in exchange for not pursuing charges against him. These demands allegedly escalated despite Topuria agreeing to initial financial requests and the existence of a prenuptial agreement. The couple married in 2020 and share 2 young children, a daughter born in 2021 and a son born in 2023. This family dimension adds enormous weight to the situation and helps explain why Topuria initially chose silence over public confrontation.
My initial decision to remain silent was made solely to protect my children, who are the most important part of my life. However, I've come to understand that silence, under these circumstances, does not protect the truth. It allows false narratives to take hold.
Topuria's statement represents a calculated shift in strategy. For weeks, he endured mounting speculation and rumors circulating online about his personal life. The Green Line Theory, a pseudoscientific social media trend that analyzes body language in couple photos to predict relationship problems, was applied to older images of Topuria and Bedell, with armchair analysts claiming they had predicted the split months before it happened. By November, the rumors had intensified considerably. According to multiple reports, Spanish outlets claimed Bedell had filed for divorce and was pursuing half of Topuria's assets. Some sources alleged the split stemmed from Topuria messaging other women, though these claims remain unverified. When Topuria announced on November 27th that he would not fight in early 2026, he cited only personal difficulties without elaboration. This vague explanation created a vacuum that the internet rushed to fill with speculation, rumors, and assumptions. The December 15th statement changed that dynamic entirely. By publicly naming the allegations against him as false and detailing his evidence collection, Topuria shifted from a defensive posture to an offensive one. He confirmed that he has submitted materials to Spanish judicial authorities and is pursuing charges for attempted extortion, falsification of evidence, misappropriation of funds and personal property, and multiple threats. The stakes of this legal battle extend beyond Topuria's fighting career. His reputation, his relationship with his children, and his public image all hang in the balance. As he noted in his statement, he has full confidence in the judicial process and will allow the legal system to determine facts based on evidence. This is the reality that Dana White has been responding to. When viewed through this lens, the UFC's fighter who simply doesn't want to defend his title. The question of how long this legal process will take remains unanswered. Topuria provided no timeline for his return, stating only that he hopes to be back as soon as possible once everything is resolved. For now, the lightweight division waits, and based on Dana White's statements, the UFC is prepared to wait with it. The UFC's plan for the lightweight division. While Ilia Topuria navigates his personal and legal challenges, the UFC has moved forward with a plan to keep the lightweight division active and compelling. The centerpiece of this strategy is the interim lightweight title fight between Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett, scheduled for UFC 324 on January 24, 2026, at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Dana White announced this fight on November 27, 2025, during the NFL Thanksgiving game broadcast between the Kansas City Chiefs and Dallas Cowboys. The announcement was part of a larger reveal showcasing the UFC's 2026 calendar and its new broadcast partnership with Paramount+. The timing of this announcement was strategic. It came the same day Topuria posted about his personal problems, allowing the UFC to immediately present a solution rather than leaving the division in limbo. By creating an interim title, the promotion ensured the contenders would still have a path to championship gold while respecting Topuria's need for time away. The matchup itself carries significant weight for both fighters involved. Justin Gaethje, at 37 years old, has been open about viewing this fight as his final opportunity to capture undisputed UFC gold. With a record of 26-5 and experience as a former interim champion, Gaethje brings a wealth of octagon time and devastating striking power to this bout. According to multiple interviews, Gaethje stated that he would be foolish to think this is the beginning of my career and described the opportunity as his last chance to finish his career the way he wants. The stakes for Gaethje could not be higher. A loss would likely signal the end of his title aspirations forever. Paddy Pimblett enters this fight with the confidence of a fighter who has never tasted defeat in the UFC. With a promotional record of 7-0 and victories over notable opponents like Tony Ferguson and Michael Chandler, the Liverpool native has built a devoted following and established himself as one of the division's most marketable stars. Pimblett has predicted a knockout victory over Gaethje.
You do wonder, at some point, will they decide to make that interim belt the actual belt if he's not going to come back anytime soon? I don't think that they're going to be forced to do that for the January event. We'll see what kind of timeline he's on, how long this is going to play out. But if it's by next summer, perhaps they make that call.
Claiming in interviews that everyone's going to be shocked when he finishes the veteran striker. He has also positioned himself mentally as the real champion, suggesting that if Topuria doesn't return by summer 2026, he might have to vacate his belt and I'll become undisputed champ without even fighting. This brings up a crucial question that looms over the entire situation. What happens to Topuria's title if he can't return in a timely manner? The UFC has historically stripped champions for prolonged inactivity. Conor McGregor was stripped of his featherweight title in November 2016 after 11 months without a defense, and later lost his lightweight title in April 2018 after nearly 18 months of inactivity. These precedents establish a threshold somewhere between 12 and 18 months for the organization's patience with inactive champions. Topuria won the lightweight title on June 28, 2025, meaning he has been champion for approximately 6 months as of this writing. His absence would need to extend significantly before reaching the thresholds that triggered previous strippings. Chael Sonnen, the former UFC fighter and current analyst, said Prianim has been vocal about the situation, arguing that the UFC must strip Topuria.
What do we do with the interim belt? I mean, I feel awful for Ilia Topuria, but not having heard any of this story, not having Ilia said that, or getting Daniel to explain it to me, or taking my time and going back and reading through the articles so that I come to you guys and I don't misspeak.
Sonnen's position is that fighters are not eligible to hold the belt if they're sidelined for reasons outside of injury or illness. He claims to have spoken with a UFC executive who confirmed this stance, though the organization has not made any official announcement about stripping Topuria. For now, the UFC's official position is supportive. According to insider reports, the promotion has no plans to strip Topuria of his title. The interim title fight will proceed as scheduled, with the winner positioned to face Topuria in a unification bout later in 2026. The full card for UFC 324 includes several compelling matchups beyond the main event. Kayla Harrison will defend her women's bantamweight title against Amanda Nunes in the co-main event. Other notable fights include Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong, Derek Lewis versus Waldo Cortez Acosta, and Umar Nurmagomedov versus Davison Figueiredo. Armand Sarukian has also volunteered to serve as the official backup fighter for the main event, stating that he will be in Las Vegas and ready to step in on short notice if either Gaethje or Pimblett is unable to compete. The message from the UFC is clear. The lightweight division will continue moving forward, with or without Topuria's immediate participation, but the plan remains for the champion to return and face the interim title holder when his personal matters are resolved. The fighter reactions in public discourse. The revelation of Ilia Topuria's extortion allegations has generated a wave of reactions from fellow fighters, analysts, and fans across the MMA community. These responses have ranged from sympathetic support to harsh condemnation, reflecting the divisive nature of allegations involving domestic abuse, even when the accused claims those allegations are fabricated. Perhaps the most inflammatory reaction came from UFC featherweight Bryce Mitchell, who released a scathing video on December 16, 2025, attacking Topuria with little restraint. Mitchell, who was scheduled to fight Topuria at UFC 310 before illness forced him to withdraw, assumed the truth of the allegations and unleashed a verbal assault that quickly went viral. According to multiple reports, Mitchell called Topuria a wife-beater and baitesh, stating that baitesh puts his hands on a woman. You're a straight-up baitesh for that. Your brother's a baitesh too. I'll fight him. I'll beat his ass. Mitchell's video included religious admonitions, with the Arkansas fighter telling Topuria that he needed to repent and return to Jesus Christ, warning that woman beaters are destined to rot in hell. He also made personal jabs about Topuria's marriages, claiming he was out running around working on your third wife now. The video drew significant attention on social media platforms, with users reposting clips and debating its appropriateness. Some praised Mitchell for taking a stand against domestic violence, while others criticized him for rushing to judgment without evidence. One critic called Mitchell a whiny, pathetic little girl for ignoring Topuria's extortion claims entirely.
So I'm not going to sit here and just throw heat at him and throw shade at him. I think he's got a good chance of proving, if he seems convinced he can prove her wrong or prove the allegations to be incorrect, then good for him. Good for him, and then he'll get back on track.
This more measured perspective acknowledges both the seriousness of the allegations and Topuria's right to prove his innocence through the legal system. The speaker notes that if Topuria can indeed disprove the allegations, good for him, and suggests he will be able to get back on track with his career. Andrew Tate also weighed in on the situation, though not with a direct statement about Topuria specifically. According to Sportskeeda's analysis, a Tate tweet from December 3rd, "You'll help her through her toughest battles. She is incapable of helping you with yours. Handle your own shit, plus hers. Man up," was linked by media outlets to Topuria's divorce situation. The tweet was interpreted as advice for men facing similar circumstances, framing the alleged extortion attempt as an example of what happens when relationships between successful men and their partners end badly. This interpretation fit within Tate's broader commentary on gender dynamics and relationships. Sean O'Malley, the former bantamweight champion, offered a more sympathetic take on the situation earlier in December before Topuria's full statement was released. O'Malley said he didn't blame him at all for stepping away, noting that personal matters need to be resolved before entering fight camp. Your mind needs to be ready, focused, sharp, O'Malley explained. It is not a time to be in fight camp. O'Malley added that he genuinely feel bad for him, acknowledging that having personal struggles play out in public makes it even worse. This sentiment was echoed by Paddy Pimblett, who reportedly sent a supportive message to Topuria despite their status as potential future opponents. The broader public discourse on social media platforms has been predictably divided. Some users have labeled Topuria a woman beater, based solely on the existence of allegations, while others have defended him, pointing to the lack of proven evidence and the commonality of such tactics in high-profile divorce proceedings.
And then he'll get back on track, and it's not going to be easy though. Like, people think like, oh, it's going to be done, it's going to swipe it underneath the rug, but the problem is though, is that there's time away from training. Not just that, the mental game. He's not what he will be when he comes back, what he was when he left. Will he come back being the same guy? Probably not. It's going to take him time to get his mental back on track. This sport is very mental.
This observation highlights a dimension of the situation that goes beyond the legal and public relations battles. Even if Topuria successfully defends himself against the allegations and returns to fighting, the mental toll of this experience may affect his performance. Combat sports demand complete focus and psychological stability, and navigating a contentious divorce while facing public accusations of domestic abuse could leave lasting effects on any fighter's mental state.
Sport is very mental. Everything is about it is mental. You know, whether it's the fitness, whether it's the conditioning, the diet, the nutrition, making sure that you're financially stable with your at home. You know, your trainers are all taken care of. Like, there's so much that goes into it. You're one man, like you said, an independent contractor that has mouths to feed, not just your families, but other people that you consider family and your trainers. So there's a lot riding on your shoulders, especially as you become champion. So we'll see. We'll find out from him.
The complexity of being a UFC champion extends far beyond what happens inside the octagon. Fighters at Topuria's level must manage training camps, nutritionists, coaches, financial obligations, and public expectations, all while maintaining the mental clarity necessary to perform at the highest level against the best fighters in the world. What happens next in the bigger picture? The situation surrounding Ilia Topuria presents one of the most unusual championship scenarios in recent UFC history. Here is a fighter at the absolute peak of his powers, undefeated at 17-0, holding the lightweight title and widely considered one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, forced to step away from competition not because of injury or burnout, but because of legal battles in his personal life.
Ilia Topuria's fighting career, it's done. And it's a shame to see it end this way. Everything going on right now outside of his fighting career, personal life, that's big things going on in this man's life. Why would he need to come back? He has all the money in the world, double champion, undefeated, but what a career he's had if it is done.
This speculation about Topuria's career being over is premature but understandable. The uncertainty surrounding his return, combined with his financial security and legacy accomplishments, has led some to wonder whether he has any motivation to return to the octagon at all.
I mean, just knocked out Charles Oliveira and went up to 155, finished Max Holloway, finished Alexander Volkanovski, and what a rise he came on since fighting Bryce Mitchell back in 2021. I mean, what he has done and how he's ultimately changed the sport.
Topuria's resume speaks for itself. He captured the featherweight title with a knockout of Alexander Volkanovski in February 2024, defended it against Max Holloway, then vacated to move up to lightweight, and knocked out Charles Oliveira for that division's title. 3 consecutive knockout victories over 3 elite opponents represents one of the most impressive stretches in recent UFC history.
But the weird thing about it is this not parallel to Conor McGregor? And look what Conor McGregor has seen. I mean, 2 years ago, we were talking about the same thing. After he pulled out against Michael Chandler, it's like, is this guy done? And what Ilia came out said, I'm glad he came out and talked about it. Sometimes in life, you have to keep your personal stuff away from your business side. But in his case, coming out with it, saying, hey, I'm taking a break from fighting indefinitely, that leaves up an opportunity that he still can't come back.
The Conor McGregor comparison is apt. McGregor has been away from competition for extended periods multiple times throughout his career, often amid personal controversies and legal issues. Yet he remains one of the biggest draws in combat sports. Topuria's situation, while different in specifics, follows a similar pattern of a champion stepping away during his prime. The difference is that Topuria has explicitly stated his intention to return. In his interview with ESPN Deportes, he confirmed that he wants to finish his MMA story before potentially transitioning to boxing.
He did also say that he wants to finish his MMA story and then go into boxing, but that's a lot of steps away, and I don't think we need to get into that too much. you do wonder, at some point, will they decide to make that interim belt the actual belt if he's not going to come back anytime soon?
The question of the interim title potentially becoming the undisputed title is one that the UFC has navigated before. If Topuria's absence extends into summer 2026 or beyond, the promotion may face pressure to elevate the interim champion to undisputed status. This would effectively strip Topuria without calling it a stripping, allowing him to return as a contender rather than a champion.
The UFC doesn't exactly have the greatest track record of giving a shit if you hit a woman or not. John Jones, heavyweight champion of the world, arrested for beating his fiance. Arrested for it. Not accused of, arrested for it. And he remained the champion until he retired.
This observation about the UFC's historical handling of domestic violence allegations adds another layer to the situation. John Jones maintained his status despite legal issues involving domestic violence. SD Jumas was signed after being convicted of domestic violence. The precedent suggests that even if the allegations against Topuria were proven true, which he firmly denies, the UFC might not take action to remove him as champion. The independent contractor model that the UFC operates under provides a legal and philosophical framework for separating fighters' personal lives from their professional obligations. Whether this approach is ethically defensible is a matter of ongoing debate, but it does explain why the organization might choose to wait and see rather than take preemptive action.
He carries himself like a champion. You know, he's done it. You know, he's done a good job marketing himself. He hasn't been trash like, you know, in terms of some other people that we've seen across, you know, over the last couple of years. He's done a good job. So I'm not going to sit here and just throw heat at him and throw shade at him. But I think he's got a good chance of proving, if he seems convinced he can prove her wrong or prove the allegations to be incorrect, then good for him. Good for him.
Topuria's conduct as champion has been largely professional. He has promoted fights effectively, engaged with media, and represented the UFC well internationally, particularly in Spanish-speaking markets. This track record of good behavior may work in his favor as the organization decides how to handle his extended absence. The bigger picture here involves questions about how sports organizations should respond when their athletes face serious personal allegations. Should the UFC wait for legal proceedings to conclude? Should they strip Topuria based on inactivity alone, without mentioning the underlying reasons? Should they take a more active role in investigating the claims?